Nigeria's agriculture sector has seen notable progress in recent years with increased investments and government initiatives aimed at boosting local production. Efforts like the Central Bank's Anchor Borrowers Program and the Nigeria Agricultural Transformation Agenda have helped improve rice, maize and cassava yields, reducing dependency on imports. However, the sector still faces significant challenges. Poor infrastructure, inadequate funding and land degradation continue to hinder growth. Additionally, insecurity in rural areas, particularly from banditry and herders, farmers' conflicts, has disrupted farming activities, led to food scarcity in some regions. While there is optimism for future growth, addressing these issues is crucial for Nigeria to achieve food security and reduce unemployment in the sector. For an evaluation of the progress made so far in the Nigerian agricultural sector and the unending challenges, Chairman, Agric Group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Banjoko Omotunde joins us on Newsday. Good to have you with us.
Thank you, Nii. Thank you, Mabala.
Okay, so if you were to do an assessment of Nigeria's agricultural status right now, from where we've been for some years now, and despite all the challenges, despite all the initiatives being put in place, what's the future like? What's the future prospect for the agricultural sector? What are we supposed to do to get it right?
To get it right. Thank you. So I think I'll start with the first part of the question. Where are we? I think from the recent policies and actions of the government, especially I would say in 2025 or maybe 2024, I think we are going to get on the path to growth. And what would be my yardstick for that would be, at least last week we saw the tractors they promised coming into the country. We saw the video of the tractors and we've been able to confirm that the tractors are coming. I think out of 10,000, I'm told about 2,000 will come in first. So that's a good move. I think the second thing that I will also be basing my judgment will be the recapitalization of the Bank of Agric. Though it's been a conversation for about 3-4 years, but the body language in 2025 seems to be better and a bit convincing than previous government and years. So if they can see that through, recapitalize that bank, restructure that bank, maybe we'll start seeing the difference. But and at least for some states now, we've also seen bumper harvest for some states.
Okay.
For some commodity, not every commodity. Some, maybe I think for maize, for gari, we've seen a bit of reduction in price and also rice. So for that, I think if we can maintain those parts, probably we'll start seeing the changes we've been anticipating for years.
So are we moving in the direction of food security in Nigeria? Because I know that there have been thousands, in fact, several initiatives. In 2019 now when President Buhari shut the borders to prevent smuggling and all of that, which was eventually reopened. And then last year, President Tinubu initiated the agricultural empowerment program in Yobe State. And all of this have been tailored towards achieving food security. Are we on that trajectory?
Yes, that's what I said. We are on that trajectory. We are not there yet. So there are two different things. We are not there yet. But for example, like you mentioned, closing of the border was a good initiative, but recently there was this waiver given for 6-month importation. Now, currently, why the food is going down in some markets, especially in the north, most farmers are not happy. Because, you spend certain amount of money producing early in the year, and by the time the harvest is coming, the price has reduced in the market. So let's just pick numbers. You produced with 100,000, thinking I'll sell at 110,000. But by the time your products are ready, it's already 70,000, 80,000 in the market. What that does is you discourage farmers. So while we are trying to achieve food security, we must not discourage those who are responsible for producing them. So I think one thing that is missing in that gap would be commodity board. If there's been a commodity board monitoring those costs of production, some of us produce for factories, for example, you have what is called EOP. Before I produce for you, I tell you how much it's going to cost me to produce for you as a factory. And then we'll also discuss how much would you be buying these products from me at harvest. I do mostly for cassava factories. So we agree, okay, I'm producing for 100,000. I'll be selling at 110 because everybody expects me to make a profit. Nobody expects me to run an NGO. So once we agree, with that confidence, I can go to my bank and tell them, I have this agreement with this company that I'm going to produce these hectares of land for them, and they have this agreement that they're going to buy. That always motivates investors. That's why some of us are able to convince people to invest in some projects. But if at the time of harvest, which is what is happening now, early 2025, due to those border that was, the custom waivers and some other things, the price of some commodity dropped. So some farmers are not happy, they are concerned. What a ton of cassava, what they had anticipated selling, is not what is opening in the market. So we need to manage that so that we can encourage those who are in the program, in the system, to continue. But if we're able to continue that trajectory, I think we'll be able to make some progress.
All right. If we look at some specifics in the past, I'm interested in the Anchors Borrowers scheme that was done during the administration of President Buhari then. If you want to do an assessment of its success or lack of it, there was this concerns then that, okay, fine, this money is being borrowed to the farmers. And they are also expected to pay back at some point, maybe with reduced interest on whatever loans is being given. Yes, and to a large extent, what we were hearing there was that a large percentage of them were not paying due to some challenges that we have. And what also guarantees do we have that whatever was being given to them at that point in time, were actually committed for what the primary purpose or the money was for. So what guarantees do we have, what measures were put in place to actually monitor that whatever you're given or whatever, is being disbursed is actually committed to its purpose?
To its purpose. I think with the Anchor Borrower program, about 1.3 trillion thereabout was disbursed. If that money had gone into agriculture in Nigeria, we wouldn't be where we are today. So obviously there are serious diversions. And what we always talk about when we talk about the Anchor Borrower, the funds were disbursed to processors as anchor for the farmers. So it was the processors that were disbursing to their farmers. So if truly you identified a particular processing company, the company ought to have identified, I just mentioned I operate for some factories. The factories know their farmers. If that had been done, the program would have been a success. But obviously, because it had to go through some factories that were not existing also got funds. Factories that had nothing to do with agriculture, with processing, also got funds. And I'm sure it's majorly diversion, because I'm one of those who believed if that money had gone into production and processing, Nigeria should not be where we are today. So obviously, and then we also look at what's always wrong with government policies, monitoring and evaluation. There's, okay, don't let me say never. There's really, I was involved in a project in Oyo State during this Anchor Borrower, and then for 6 months, the monitoring team never came to ascertain what we were doing. Eventually, the project failed because their success in their office, their promotion was not tied to our performance. So meaning whether they come to the field to see what was going on, fine. So when we started the project of Oyo State that I mentioned, we started gather the farmers together. My company was going about 200 hectares with a cooperative to monitor, who are monitoring that. So it's when we were clearing, they never showed up. They said we should continue. We were able to speak to a company to do the clearing. The company came on the integrity that funds will be disbursed, did the clearing. We were able to sort out ourselves with the planting. We were able to sort out ourselves with some other things. But for several months, the company, the government agency that ought to have come, check on what we are doing, be able to advise and advance funds. Funds were never advised, and that was how the project had to collapse. So most of this government agency, their performance is not tied to what is going on. So they can afford to sit in their office, either in Lagos, either in Abuja, and be less concerned. But if their promotion, their assessment, their performance was tied to that, So I think the area of monitoring and evaluation is where we've always gotten it wrong in Nigeria. And even with the current programs, you can still see that lapse is still existing now. Because even the tractors, people have been saying, how will these tractors be distributed? Who are those that will be the beneficiary of these tractors? Are we buying it? Are we leasing it? Is the government giving it to, what are the criteria?
Which are some of the major factors or the issues that farmers complain about, that those who really need this implement are not getting them?
So that's really where
apparently we need to
be
beef up monitoring, transparency, evaluation, and also accountability. Thank you so much for your time on the show.
Public and private partnership in some of these
Very
things.
important. Thank you for your time. Banjoko Omotunde, the chairman, Agri Group, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry.